Innovation Unplugged from the Alabama Community College System's Innovation Center takes you inside Alabama's workforce development. Join us for enlightening conversations with community leaders and industry experts showcasing experiences, addressing key issues, and celebrating successes in the workforce initiatives across the state. Welcome to the Innovation Unplugged podcast. I'm Houston Blackwood, Workforce Director for the Innovation Center. Today I have Brandi Merrill, Curriculum Director for the Innovation Center, and Miss Angela Hurst.
You want me to say my title?
I do. Go ahead.
I am the Director of Community Projects at Trenholm State Community College in Montgomery, Alabama.
You never get my title right.
Well, it used to be like the librarian or something, like the epistolographer, so all things. So what is your curriculum design director? What is
Director of Curriculum Design. Not that I really care. It's just it changes every time. So I'm just curious if you know.
We're not at Wing Fingers or Winging It. Like we are here.
Fair fact.
Brandi Merrill is our Director of Curriculum Design.
That was hard, wasn't it?
Well, it's been a long day. This is my third podcast. So, but we're not here to talk about me and you, Brandi. We're here to talk about Trenholm State, Angela Hurst, and the reason we brought you in, Angela, is Trenholm ran our first heavy equipment lab, which has been one of our biggest courses in the Skills for Success history. But what we noticed about Trenholm's experience is that you make it unique, and you do it a little bit differently on the front end and during the lab than some other places. And we love all of our colleges; they're all beautiful and sweet and smart. But the Angela Hurst experience is a little bit different, and so that's what we're after. But before we get to all that, tell me this. What's the craziest job you've ever had?
Wow, the craziest job.
I'm glad that was yours and not mine.
As an adult or as...
Period. Like, we've all been working since we were 12.
Yes,
what's your
exactly.
craziest job?
When I used to have to work at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And I used to... I had a boss, his name was Roosevelt, and he used to call me Angela, and I hated that. Oh, my gosh. So... I had to do everything from shovel manure in the back.
At a grocery store?
Their manure at a grocery store?
Yes, because they would drop it off, and then I would have to bag it. So I have to go back there in the loading dock area, put it in bags, wrap it tight. It was used as fertilizer.
Okay.
So, and then I'd have to, he'd say, Angela, to the carts, Angela to bottle return. And oh my gosh, I just hated it. It was just, that was just the bane of my existence at that time, Roosevelt.
What did you learn from that job, though?
I learned that I did not want to do that for the rest of my life, and I learned that education is priority.
You know what? That's a great lead-in. Where did Roosevelt live? Where was this?
This was in Detroit, Michigan. Yes. Okay. Roosevelt was, I believe, divorced, lived alone, and had no life.
And was happy to see you every day.
I don't know, but he would give me just, he just made my life I was 15, and he just made my life just awful every day I went to work. But I think that it was a lesson, really and truly. He knew that I had, planned on going to college. I was in an honors program in high school. And I think that he felt his job was to let you know that this is what you don't want to do as an adult. I got the message early.
Fair enough.
I got the message early. So, but I think about him all the time and wonder often what happened to him.
Isn't that funny how even like what you think is a negative ends up being so impactful?
Yes. Yeah. At the time, I just was like, oh my goodness. And matter of fact, he fired me once.
For how long? Like the weekend? Or like?
For like a whole 24 hours. And then I felt so bad. And I couldn't understand why he fired me. I came and I went and begged for my job simply because I wanted to work. At 15, you want to get, have a few extra dollars in your pocket so you can go buy tennis shoes.
And probably have limited options at 15, for
yes, because you have to have a special slip. You had to get permission and everything. And my parents would only let me work on the weekends. So, and at that time, minimum wage was $3.35, and that's what I made per hour. So it was like that, I look forward to that little check.
Sure.
Yeah. have some sense of independence.
Mm-hmm.
So what did he? So you went back and asked for that job back. What did he ever relay to you, like the why behind, and then how did you win him over? I guess.
Well, I went back and I said, Roosevelt, I said, I'm not sure, why you fired me. However, I'll do whatever it takes to, to get my job back. Whatever it is that I wasn't doing, I'll do better.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had this sense of, I'm going to prove to him that I deserve to have this job. And I just felt that that's what was most important to me. And if I could just, tell him all the reasons why I thought that I deserved working there, he would hire me.
Did he?
He did.
Did he ever tell you
No,
why?
no, I never knew. No.
That's the world I grew up in, a teacher world. They didn't have
Yes.
to tell you. They just
No.
sent you on.
That's right. And I think it was really just more of just showing you that I can sort of kind of be in control of your little destiny at that time as a little teenager. And I was the type that I wanted to prove to you that I could do whatever.
Don't tell Angela no.
No, not at all.
That's why we like Angela, because she always says, well, we'll find a way.
Yeah.
For sure. So what brought you to Alabama? How'd you get down here from Detroit?
College.
Okay.
College. I went to Alabama State.
Okay.
Yeah. I had decided, that I was going to go away to school after I was put on a waiting list to go to Eastern Michigan. So, which is like an hour from my parents' house. And I just decided, well, once I got notification that I was put on the waiting list for the first semester, I said, well, I'm going to go to Alabama State.
Mm-hmm.
So my counselor had asked me to fill out an application. Mind you, the only time I had been in Alabama was in Birmingham, because I do have family there. But it had been like 8 years previously.
Yeah.
So, I was a little kid the last time I had been here, and I'd never been below Birmingham. So I knew nothing about Alabama, period. So it was
a long way to move.
It is. And my mom was like, you're going where? And I told them, and I told my dad, and I said, Dad, just make sure you take off work. We're leaving on, I think I had to be here August 13th. So we came down on a Friday. We drove down.
Did you buy the map? This was back before.
Oh, I knew how to read a map.
I always mapped the whole way for your parents, didn't you?
I didn't have to. But my dad knew how to get there. But of course, I always had an atlas in my car. My dad always said,
"There it is.
Carry an atlas with you. So in case you get lost, always have an atlas and then a local map." So I always did that. So, that's the precursor to GPS.
Yeah.
But, I came down with my family, and it wasn't quite what I thought, because the brochure that the college had given me, it was like, it looked so big, the campus was huge.
Not.
No.
2D version is different than the 3D version.
Yes. It was like, wow, and so we got here, and we were on campus, and we didn't know exactly where we were. And so we came down that Friday, and so finally we found the dorm. I stayed in the oldest building on campus. It was Abercrombie, and it was on the 3rd floor. And of course, no air conditioning.
Sure.
Well, I didn't know that.
Alabama.
That wasn't on the atlas.
No, that was not on the brochure. The fact that Alabama was sweltering in the summertime.
That's a good word.
Yeah, so
Safe.
To put it mildly. And so my parents left on Sunday, and that was the first day of orientation. And so I've been here ever since. So
Wow.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah,
That's awesome.
this journey.
That's awesome.
So we could title this episode Great Expectations or Good Directions with Billy Currington lead-in song. But well, that's why you're here. your approach to handling the labs and getting students to the lab is so unique. Tell us, when you set these things up, what makes a great lab? What makes a great student experience? So, in your eyes, what makes it pop?
When I think about the lab, what I think about is what would I want? And I think that I have a responsibility to really give them an experience. And because there are so many individuals that are coming from a variety of different backgrounds, some military, some are first generation, some are just truck drivers. They come from a lot of working class backgrounds. And some are a little timid also because stepping on a college campus, they've never done. So I try to think about, how would I like to be treated? And what do I think would be a good experience? And what would prompt me to tell someone else? So I try to look at all of those aspects and be detail-oriented. Now, I will have to say, you guys have helped tremendously. And so you really made me feel really good about actually having to do it my very first time. So the support of the staff from the Innovation Center really was extremely helpful, and you were able to make me feel more comfortable. So, I'm always trying to make sure I do it right. And, not necessarily doing every single solitary thing right the very first time was okay.
But you did.
Well, I always look at I could do better.
Even back then, you were communicating to the nth degree with those students. And then it evolved into here's the weather forecast from Angela Hurst today.
Well, because oftentimes people don't think about what they should wear. So in the fall, because it's rainy, sometimes it could be cold. I don't want people to be ill-prepared in coming to the activity, because I don't want you to have to feel like you need to go home, or you're uncomfortable, or you can't do your best and focus. So, I want you to know that please wear closed-toed shoes. You might be chilly, so put on a jacket. It might be raining or misting, so you can't wear stand under an umbrella.
Yeah.
It's outdoors. If it's outdoors, you need to be prepared. So if you want to wear a jacket with a hood, you can do so. I just think that people are more apt to participate fully if you give them all of, the full story.
Absolutely.
So they know what to expect.
So how do you manage, from the planning stage to then, getting through registration, which can be interesting,
to say the least.
Sure.
It can be.
Because we don't know these people. So you manage them from an interest form, through registration, through theory completion, to showing up on lab day. And then they're in the lab, and now you're hoping to hook them to the next thing, whether it's another Innovation Center course or moving on into a Trenholm course that
Right.
relates. So how do you manage those expectations from what they thought was going to happen or what they think's going to happen next? How do you transition them from what they expect?
I think that their experience from the lab, that's half the battle. So that is helpful to give them that perspective that, whatever idea that they had about the institution previously, I want to, just, make it where it's all positive.
Right.
Because sometimes word of mouth doesn't necessarily describe or give you that true understanding of what an institution, in this case, has to offer.
Or education in general.
Absolutely. So I feel that I don't care what happened in the past or what your experience is. I'm going to make this experience a good one, so that when you walk away, you are, you're happy,
Mm-hmm.
you're willing to go and talk about it, and you can already think about a friend or two or family member who would also love to participate because you had such a good experience.
And you walked away with a skill and a
Exactly.
credential.
Exactly. And I also put an emphasis on that. So it's not just a sheet of paper that you're getting, but I try to emphasize what the Innovation Center has shared, which is this is a true credential. It means something. It's a part of your transcript. So I really emphasize that this is a part of your college transcript. Some of the students don't have a college transcript.
What's that
So-
feedback like when they hear that they've got a college transcript now? Like, are they,
Their eyes
Are they-
open up and they're like,
Mhm.
really? And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, I really make sure that they understand the magnitude of what it is that they're doing, that this is not fly by night,
yeah,
that this truly can lead to something more,
yeah,
down the road. All you have to do is apply yourself.
And it's stackable. You've
That's
had
right.
several.
Yes.
Out of that first skid steer lab, what is it? All of them did
They
skid
did the,
steer, and then they did the
bulldozer.
bulldozer next.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah. So how many? You haven't had a roller class yet, have you?
not yet.
Yeah.
So I will be requesting that course. I think that one of the ways to that was just recently shared with me was to include it like a dual option. So when they do skid steer, they can also do the roller.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they get you more bang for the buck, so to
Yeah.
speak. And I think that I try to create a sense of excitement, a sense of importance. I want them to feel important.
Mhm.
I think that we owe that to them,
Agreed.
and because I want them to come back,
Mhm.
and I want them to share, what they experienced with someone else. And I will say that we've had several who told someone else, their best friend,
Sure.
or a cousin or something like that, and then they sign up.
Mhm.
So word of mouth is your biggest way to advertise.
It can go both ways though.
It can.
Because we have not, we like to say everything is beautiful and perfect. We know people are people and processes break. And
Right.
so what do you do? This happens all around. There's an email missed, or phone calls not returned in 5 minutes. And
Well, yes.
because people need things. So
Impatient.
so what do you do when you have that disgruntled customer? And this is in a lot of our courses that have outward facing components. But what do you do when you have that student who's just not happy about the speed or the outcomes? Like, what's the Angela Hurst process to make it right?
Honesty. I just try to be honest with them. I tell them, what's really going on, that you might have to wait for the lab simply because I have to be able to have a class,
Yeah.
and I have to have a certain number of individuals, in order to put on the lab. So I don't keep anything from them, but I'm also always accessible. So oftentimes, it could be early in the morning, it could be on the weekend, it could be in the evening. I get a telephone call and I respond.
Yeah.
I think that sort of helps with, as long as they know that they can talk to someone, have a question answered, then they're okay with it having to, maybe it's not as timely as they thought it should be.
That's true.
But they're all right with that when you really, just sort of let them know, hey, this is what I've got going on. I will contact you as soon as. That's right. Absolutely.
And you're acknowledging that, hey, even this even happened with a Walmart order that I had in the other night. Seriously, like as long as I could go to the chat, okay, you're going to hear me and know that I am not happy.
Right.
And then the first thing you're going to say is, I'm sorry you're not happy with your order. So acknowledging, just being honest. Hey, we know you're not
Absolutely.
happy.
Right.
Now they gave me a $10 off coupon, but I know they can't do that for you. But
No, but you know what? I try to be accessible.
Yeah.
And so if I had this one gentleman, he told me, first I think he had his daughter call. And because the voice was not the same the second time around when he called me, but neither here nor there. What he told me was that he was not very astute with technology. I said,
Okay.
no problem. I said, that's not a big deal. So I said, so what can I help you with? Well, I need help from the ground up. I was like, okay, so what is that?
Called the right place. I am Angela Hurst, the student experience extraordinaire.
You know, so he used his daughter's computer to go ahead and log in. And then he said, but I need a computer. So he ran by what type of computer he should buy with me. And
He wanted you
was
to
that
sign off
adequate?
on what purchase
Yes.
he was going to make.
Yes,
Did you know
did.
that? Did you know what he would need? Because I wouldn't know. I think he was like, what do I need for this? I don't know. Chrome? Google Chrome? I don't know.
Yes, I knew.
Of course you did, because you're Angela Hurst.
No, but I mean, it's pretty basic. So we talked about it, what he should do. And he told me, he said, well, I'm going to go this weekend and I'm going to go buy my computer and such. And I said, you have the internet and all of those things. And he said, yes. And so everything.
He come by your office to set that thing up.
No, he did
I
not.
knew that's where this story was going.
No, I had another one do that. But he called me. He's called me probably at least 7 or 8 times to give me play-by-play as to what he has done. And
That's awesome.
to me, I'm like, I think that's great, because if you have a question or if you're a little unsure, because he told me, he's like, Miss Hurst, I'm just a little shaky when it comes to technology. And so I'm talking to him and describing his experience, what it should be. I said, the software is very user-friendly. I said, the modules, you should be okay with that. And I said, from my understanding, I said, this is what it is. And so then I said, hey, let's walk through it together.
But know how unique that is. That's why you're here, is because that's going above and beyond. There's not everybody does that. Like, we see a lot of overachievers in this day and time of work that we do. But your ability, and there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of the same thing, but it speaks to, like, kind of not only like what it takes, but how special this is that you would take the time, that you would take that call 7 times in a row, that you would talk him through going and buying a laptop. Those are the kind of connections that we know that you make with students, which makes it really cool.
So that's a great, really good segue to they're not a difficult group, but they have their own challenges with the K-12. So y'all had a really successful K-12 experience last April.
Yes.
And, now that we're linked to the K-12 for the CRI, like, this is huge. And Montgomery is a massive county, massive school system, and all the private schools too. So how has that experience been for you with counselors, high school students, teachers, principals? And what's that been? How have you made that work the Angela Hurst way?
I think there again, just being patient, being able to, being available, responding to questions, trying to figure out a way to make it work versus looking at ways as to why it can't work. I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Figure out a solution. That's why I call Houston all the time.
And what happens, we get those calls a lot, and early on it was like, okay, well, I don't know if I know the answer completely, but we've tested this model so many times at Trenholm and, at the other 23 colleges that run these courses. So pretty quickly, we always find a way to say, okay, well, let's try this. And this seems like the most reasonable approach. And in K-12, that was our thing. Like, what would a reasonable human do in this situation?
Absolutely.
That might be our new motto, is find a way.
That's right.
That's what we do. Like, you do it on a daily basis, but we do it too. I mean, because there's all kinds of situations we encounter and we're like, I don't know, we got to find a way.
Absolutely. But I was raised, my dad's favorite saying was, figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's point blank.
Yeah.
It was always figure it out.
Yeah.
And then come back to him once you figured it out, and then we'll see, does this work? And if it doesn't work, okay, why didn't it work?
Yeah.
Then we'll go from there to see how to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I used to hate that, but I understand as an adult what that means. And, you know, so I guess I internalized that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Don't
just
you love that
moved
came full
forward?
circle?
I guess so.
You know, I mean, when you were growing up, you didn't think that way. But then all of a sudden it came full circle and you're like, dang, I really did appreciate that. I just didn't realize it at the time.
Do you think Roosevelt ever said, I'm gonna teach this child how to find a way?
Probably.
He should have said that. He's like, I'm teaching you something. I'm firing you.
He was a man of very few words. Okay.
I bet.
A man of very few words, but I just hated him calling me Angela probably most.
You know, I'm gonna call you that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, he knows where your goat is tied now. He's coming for it.
So we have so many courses coming up. We have 3 or 4 coming out this fall. Mental health, excavator, manufactured housing, working on fiber installer, inside installer. What's
Emergency medical responder.
So these are some serious infrastructure jobs and serious jobs that we all need. What's next for Skills for Success at Trenholm? Like, what do you see? Like, what makes is there a particular course that's just jam up for y'all, or do you like trying the new courses, or is there a niche that you found? Where do you see these courses being most effective for Trenholm?
I think that looking at one with the high school students and being able to offer them, especially the heavy equipment, those courses seem to be of interest to them simply because of the CRIs. And they're not as complicated.
And versatile.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of those students, as you guys know, have some familiarity with heavy equipment because whether they grew up on a farm or working at a feed store or, you know, something like that, they are familiar with heavy equipment. This just sort of solidifies that, okay, now you actually know how to operate it safely and properly. And it gives them a better respect for what it is that they're doing or can do in the future. So, for instance, if they want to have a summer job, now they can say, oh, okay, I know this set of skills and I have X number of years of experience, but I also went to Trenholm or, you know, to another institution to get the Skills for Success training. And so that, you know, sort of kind of gives them that stamp of approval.
It's spot on. We never really know, you know, when things are going to come back around, right? So, you know, you do a training today that you may not get a job as a skid steer operator tomorrow. You could the next day or the next day. But if you're a high school student, it may be the summer, you know, or it may be that, you know, you've got to wait until finals are over or whatever it is. Even if you're utilizing any of those skills and it comes back around later on in life, because I know that's happened with me. I'm sure it's happened with everybody.
Yes.
At some point in time, you thought, golly, I don't know why, you know, I'm having to do this inside of this job. Like, what does this have to do with it? And then later on, you're like, oh my gosh.
Exactly.
You know,
the exposure.
This is exactly why God put me in that spot, is so that I would learn how to do that or how to manage that or how to accomplish that. And then now, you know, fast forward in time, you know, here's how that way was prepared. So you never know.
Absolutely. I think that targeting the high school students for those courses that are of interest to them, but also delving into some of the more rigorous type courses like your fiber optic technician training. I actually have probably about 33 students in that course right now.
Wow.
Yes. And at least half of them have completed all of the modules.
For the fiber?
So, yes.
And your kit is still on back order?
Yes.
We'll talk to Dwayne about that.
Yeah. So, but I've also had a conversation with Russell Construction.
Yeah.
And so they are interested in the construction type courses that...
Electrical helper and
construction.
Yes.
I forget about those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, carpentry helper, electrical labor. Yeah.
Yes.
All coming down the pipe.
I was
I'm
talking,
waiting on that.
Yeah.
Chris Strickland. Do you know who he is? you've probably seen him or met him.
Probably.
Done university, done construction.
Oh, okay.
We were talking about the construction industry overall and what a carpenter can do, a carpenter's helper.
Yeah.
Even in road construction, you know. So I said, what would you have in a person who had carpentry, electrical, skid steer, and excavator? And he just kind of looked at me with this funny look, and I was like, well, he's like, my God, that's the best worker potential employee I could ever have, because they've seen so many.
Yeah.
Right. They're well-rounded.
They are, and they can jump off one thing and do another. And so I imagine once excavator rolls out, and then the two helper, carpentry, electrical, like
And motor grader. Don't forget about motor grader.
we need Lewis Tiller. We need a soundboard every time.
to bring in Lewis Tiller.
Motor grader.
And just whatever
Houston
that
does it
sound
really
is.
well. I can't do him that well, but that is exactly how he says it.
But you know, and what's cool about that is that's a really complex machine, and the state agency for county commissions is like, hey, we're going to give you this curriculum that we used to do,
Okay.
and you but promise to make it for counties, and use it however you need to. And then they were like, hey, we talked a little bit, we see y'all might be able to do this better than us.
Oh.
So we're going to wait until we see yours a couple of times and then decide if we're going to restart. And so I think that's when I think about what's next at each college has a geographical flavor. In Montgomery area with so many big industries, it's such a thoroughfare on the interstate. You're going to have so much ability to serve companies that they're maybe not from Montgomery, but they work in Montgomery. They come through Montgomery.
But we still have, 5 county service areas.
Yeah.
So,
Huge.
there are a lot of
projects.
Right.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that, as we all know, everyone is looking for a skilled employee.
Sure.
And I think that Skills for Success offers individuals that important training that it's free. And I do emphasize free all
People
the
are
time.
shocked.
Yes, they are.
They are
because
shocked.
they're like, so how much do I have to pay for the training? I said, nothing. They said, what?
What?
I said,
It's unbelievable.
I said, it's free. They're like, it's free?
Yeah.
And I said, yes. And they're like,
Yeah.
which part?
All of it.
All
And
of
I'm
it.
like, exactly. I'm like, all of it is free. And I said, plus you get lunch.
Yeah. It's even better.
Oh, so the
Yeah.
lunch thing. Okay, so every time Trenholm has lunch, like it's usually sweet. Was it sweet?
Sweet Creek.
Sweet Creek.
Oh,
So good.
gosh. Such good barbecue.
We appreciate that. Not every lab has lunch. And
They don't?
no, Angela. the world
That's
is not
why
perfect.
you're here.
That's
It's
why
to
you're
show the way.
So
Well, I mean, to me, there again, it's the experience.
yeah.
So how often do you get free training, food?
Yeah.
Plus I'll make you coffee.
Yeah.
Good coffee too.
Yeah.
And you get to invite your family and they get to celebrate with you and your friends.
Oh, we hadn't even talked about that.
I know,
Keep going
right?
in your list. Keep going.
And we have some really great instructors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I think that, so when you put all of that together,
With a credential
that's right.
and a college transcript.
That's right.
Yeah.
They walk away beaming with pride.
Yeah.
And I love to see that. To me, that is a return on investment of my time, effort, of what you guys have put together and have disseminated to the colleges, and from a political standpoint with the money from the legislature supporting
100%.
this.
Watching it come back and go to work
Absolutely.
for you.
That's
Like
right.
so many times, I don't know, there's so many things that happen in government and in life that you pay taxes towards, right? But then sometimes you may not see like the
Exactly. You don't
the
get to see-
repercussions of that.
Right.
It's just this thing out there that occurs, but kind of getting to watch this then push back into the economic engine of the state and having these people go to work and having people actually acquire skills and having people, connect with their colleges. It is truly amazing. Truly.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of the word community and community college.
Yeah.
Is to be a part of.
There it is.
I know, I didn't know how significant a community college was prior to working at a community
Community.
college.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, of course, hindsight is 20/20. if I had known what I knew or what I know today, I certainly would have had my kids. Well, I have my daughters at Trenholm, but I would have had my son at Trenholm too.
Yeah.
At least to do the core courses.
Absolutely.
Dual enrollment.
Participate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But also if I had any kids now, and I tell all my friends who have kids in college and or in high school, hey, we've got all kinds of things, to offer.
Yeah. Where the instructors know who you are, which is different.
It's like Cheers.
Education. Where everybody knows your name.
Yes, I used to love that show.
I mean, the 4 years
with
are great.
Norms.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, my kids do and did 4 years too. And there's a place, everybody has a place at the table.
Absolutely.
But there's nowhere that you're going to find than at a community college where you can go to class and be in front of someone who's teaching you, and they're living and working in your community or invested in that community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And know you.
That's true. That's true. And I try to make it a point. So with my students, I call them my students.
Thank you.
They are.
Thank you for that, because they are students.
I make sure I know everyone's name.
Yeah.
And I call them by name.
Yeah.
And I think that creates that more personable relationship.
Absolutely.
And we've had some issues of where, they're human just like the rest of us and have lives outside of the lab.
Sure.
And I've had to diffuse situations. I've had to deal with, we've had some students who've had some real serious family situations. And so you're dealing with all of those things too. And you have to be understanding, compassionate, and all of those things.
But how lucky they were that it was you. As an instructor, I sometimes would be like, I'm so glad that I was the one, that was there. And so there's got to be a certain part of you that's like, golly, I'm so glad I was able to be here.
I had one situation, I was really happy I was there.
Yeah.
Because it really could have been something that it wasn't on site.
Yeah.
It would have been off site, and it could have been a really bad situation. Yeah. And so, I said to the student, our paths were meant to cross.
Mm-hmm.
And
love that.
Student
like
thanked
God
me.
wink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just, if I can help in any way, I think that that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm just happy and appreciative that they signed up.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to.
Right.
So to me, because you chose Trenholm, okay, well, the least I can do is to make your experience a very positive one. So.
Absolutely. And you talk about name, knowing your name. Look at Starbucks. What's the first question they ask you? What's your name?
What's your name?
And they put it on your cup and they repeat it to you. And then when they hand you your order, oh, are you Brandi?
Yeah.
Are you Angela? So they're creating that one-on-one connection immediately, and then you go look at somebody like Chick-fil-A, my pleasure. It's all about that customer service perspective.
Absolutely.
And that's it. When you create connections with people, it means something,
It does. And there again, it goes back to you treat people how you want to be treated. And that's that's my premise. I think about that all the time. And I want to be, if I were in their shoes taking that course, well, I would want to be treated the same way,
Absolutely.
With respect and dignity and compassion and whatever, just because, sometimes we get lost and we lose that aspect of just being nice to one another.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's the least that we can do to really share a part of ourselves with each other. So
that's good. I knew this would happen when so we've been fretting about podcast. What are we gonna do? I don't know. Like we talk all the time. Y'all
okay. Well, you know how much I talk. So
yeah. So my favorite dinosaur is a velociraptor because they're known in the animal world, in the movies at least, about finding solutions. Right? They're always asking better questions. So from a college workforce standpoint, what in 5 words or less, 10 words or less, how do you make these classes pop for Trenholm and for your students? Like when you go into it, if you had a list of words or a short phrase that you would give to other colleges and say, this is the way, walk in it. That's Stephen Purtick, by the way. But this is the way, walk in it. Like, what would you say?
I would say certainly customer service. That's number one. Patience, understanding, accessibility. There's nothing worse than someone feeling like they can't reach out to anybody. And if they do reach out, they don't get a response. And just basically creating an experience for your students. And I think that those things really make it work.
I love that. And you certainly do all those things. Last question. That high school skid steer course that we did last spring, that graduation ceremony, we talked about it in our first episode. In one word, describe what that moment was like as those students and families and grandparents and generations were there.
Carloads of people.
Yes.
It was a production we had never seen and quite frankly didn't expect mentally or emotionally. So in one word, what was that like for you?
Awesome.
Was for us too.
It was. Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah.
Well, Angela Hurst and the Angela Hurst Experience. There's probably an album, a rock album.
I don't think so.
We appreciate your time and attention. I know good things are coming from you and from Trenholm at large. Because skills for success is not the only thing y'all do well. So we look forward to hearing more.
Well, thank you.
In a later episode, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Be sure and like, subscribe, and follow on all podcast platforms.